Ladies and gentlemen, people with jobs, people without jobs, middle class, upper class, high class, all that, cats, snakes, chickens, ducks, elderly peoples, and twerkers, we present to you another edition, another episode, another rendition of Public Enemy's podcast, Behind Enemy Lines. This time around, y'all talking about is us one more time. And hey, listen, we came with a special guest. You know what I'm talking about? We came with a special guest, not just any regular person, not just any regular man. You feel me? I'm talking about author, comedian, actor. I'm talking about, you feel me? Hey, listen, this man just won an NAACP award. You know what I'm talking about? Outstanding. What was it? Outstanding social media personality 2022. Go crazy, bro. You might know him from YouTube. You might know him from TikTok. If you like me or something, you might know him from like All Def Digital and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Old school videos and ism. You know what I'm saying? But hey, listen. Not only that, he's a father and a husband. Also, God-fearing man. We got Mr. Kevin Fredericks. KevOnStage. How you doing, brother?
What's up, fellas? I'm doing good, man. Thank y'all so much for having me. I knew y'all was black from y'all Twitter. Y'all don't even have to say it. Like, the black dudes behind this. At least one person over here is black. Yeah. So it's good to know my suspicions were correct. But no, I'm glad to be here, man. Thank y'all for reaching out. I'm glad we can make it work.
Yeah, man. Shit's fun, man. I was like, wait a minute. He's like, what? I'm reaching out. Do it. That was the entire conversation. Do it.
Honestly, like, I greatly appreciate you and your team for like responding in kind and like so fast, because like I was like, I'm just gonna send this. This is a shot in the dark. Like, who knows how this is gonna go? You know what I'm saying? And it was like not even very long. And it was like, yo, Kev kind of knows who you guys are. And I was like,
oh yeah, man.
Little pat on the back, man. We might be making a little waves out here.
Yeah, after WrestleMania, y'all tweets started showing. After WrestleMania, Elon opened up the timeline, so you started at the same time. You started seeing people that I got all this wrestling stuff. I was going crazy about wrestling and all that stuff, and then y'all tweets started showing up. And then I just followed y'all.
Okay, so perfect timing. If I could kick it off there, I want to ask you about that because I saw that you went to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Also saw that you had like commented on Jade's entrance, I believe at Double or Nothing with the AKAs. Yeah. So like what is it like when you do have an opportunity to check out wrestling? Like, 'cause I know you're a busy man. Like what do you like about wrestling today?
Okay, so let me go back and I'll tell you forward. Okay. I've been in a wrestling fan off and on since most of us when we were kids, right? So Hulk Hogan, I had the plush toy. I had the Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior was my favorite wrestler at the time. That golden era. I don't know what they call it, but that era is, you know, when I found him. I thought Papa Shango was really like for real on that voodoo, and the blood was coming out. I was like, "You're killing the Ultimate Warrior. You're killing him." Right. So Stone Cold, Attitude Era. I think Ruthless Aggression is probably when I fell off. I think that was like the rise of Randy Orton and John Cena. I feel like I was in college at that time. And then I was like, after The Rock and So Cold, I kind of fell off. And then when my son got back into it. And that's when I kind of got back into it. So as a family, we went to Monday Night Raw when it came to LA, super close tickets. For Raw, it was much cheaper than WrestleMania. We went to Survivor Series. We were a little bit further back because it was different costs.
Man, for real,
yeah, it's crazy. And then WrestleMania was like always a bucket list item, but I was just like, you know, we'll probably never be in the same city. I don't know if I'm willing to fly to WrestleMania. And then I found out it was in LA, and I was like, oh, bet. So we went to LA, and then my son was catching us up on everything ahead of time. So that's when we saw like the Bloodline feud and all that type of stuff. And then now I basically just keep up via social media. Like I watch, YouTube feeds me a lot of the stuff. Anything Roman Reigns, Bloodline, like I'm all in. They're like, people are like, the Bloodline is the greatest storyline in a while. So I've definitely been following that. And really what I appreciate about it is the fact that wrestling has come out of the kayfabe era into the like, we recognize these are athletes performing, and people are just like, all right, I'm still in. Like, we just like, I would have never thought that would have survived that. Like, I thought when I was a kid, I was watching because I thought it was real. And then somewhere along, and then it's like wrestling fake, all that type of stuff happened. And I don't remember when the light switch happened, but like, the podcast, Austin Woods podcast I follow. I be watching people work out with Sheamus sometimes and stuff. I be like, dang, y'all really be working out for real. You know what I'm saying? So I basically keep up with it like that. I don't really watch the live shows like most people, but I keep up through social media, especially the Roman Reigns thing, just because like the storyline's been going on for so long. And I'm not familiar if feuds have lasted this long. I usually feel like they last up into like either a pay-per-view or WrestleMania. But like this one has been, and that nigga putting his whole family on. There's some more today. I'm surprised the babies ain't feuding because he got both the brother. You got Jimmy and Jay, their younger brother, him, Jay's wife. I believe it's Jay's wife is Trinity. Like she in WWE, but it's a lot. It's a lot popping. So I've been watching.
Yo, they be finding them Samoan niggas everywhere. Like one of them just debuted over the weekend. Like every time you turn around, like and the wild part is they're all married to black women. So like think about it, in 20 years, it's just gonna be half Samoan, half black, like a dynasty just running around.
Super niggas. Yeah. There's gonna be super niggas running around and wrestling now.
Like super scrolls.
Yeah, them mega athletes, nigga, like them Cell Juniors, nigga. There's gonna be a whole bunch of these niggas running around, man. Hey. That's hilarious.
That's crazy. Yeah, the Bloodline story is nuts. It's been going on for like 3.5 years now, and it's just interconnected with so many different pieces and so many different people, like you said, putting his whole family on. Yeah. Jizzle, you had a question?
Oh, yeah. I know you was talking about you going back to being a wrestling fan when you was a kid. So I remember the commercials when they was like, oh my God, I broke my leg. You know what I'm saying? 500 bones. You know what I mean? I had over 20 concussions. And they were like, please don't try this at home. So I want to know, did you in fact try that at home?
Man, ain't nobody reading that? I absolutely, my favorite tag team coming up was the Legion of Doom. And they had that move. I don't remember what it was called, but you would put the person up on the shoulders and then you would clothesline them off. Me and my brother did that to my sister. I can't even tell you how many times we did that.
The Doomsday Device.
Doomsday Device. Man, we did that to her so many times. I did that to stuffed animals so many times. Leg drops, gorilla press. I was like, I used to play. There was a wrestling game in arcades, and I used to just go. My mom would be doing something, and she'd leave the car unlocked, and she'd have like basically infinite quarters. And I'd play that doggone arcade game all day. I had the wrestling game on Nintendo. I think before it was WWE. It was just like wrestling men.
Wrestling.
You know,
what you call it? NES wrestling, nigga.
I don't think they have the license yet. But yeah, we tried all that stuff. I remember DX was the most popular. So we was at school doing this, you know what I'm saying? Remember that we was getting in trouble for doing that, and China would do the one line, which I thought was funnier than anybody ever gave her credit for doing the one line. But yeah, we absolutely tried that stuff.
Oh man, how could you not? Like, you know I'm gonna do this. Like, I don't even know why you're even telling me this for.
You have to.
Yeah, you gotta do it. No way you don't give it a shot. Like come on.
So nigga saying that it was fake too. Like, hey, get in the sharpshooter real quick. You know what I'm saying? Tell me how fake this feels.
Oh, that was the other one too. Bret Hart, the excellence of execution. He was my favorite for a minute too there. And then I was like watching documentaries, the Montreal Screwjob and stuff. I was like, yo, this is crazy. So yeah, I was like, I had moments where I went in and out, but like the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been following because now I want to see when Roman gets dethroned and what's the next storyline. And we talk about going to WrestleMania again. I didn't know it was like 2 nights was going to be a thing. They're going to tax you now. Yeah. So I think it's better. I think it's better so to be, because I think a lot of complaints was just entirely too long and nothing is good when it's like 5-6 hours long.
Bro, let me tell you, I grew up in Baptist churches, Pentecostal churches, 5 hours. Like usually that used to not do anything to me. I'd sit down and I'd be like, yo, I'm cool. But now as I got older, I'm like, bro, I don't know if it's if I can't pay attention to it that long or what's going on with it. I'm just like, come on.
5 hours is a lot. It don't matter how good it is. 5 hours that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, to sit still at any time, man. 5 hours. Like, think about I couldn't even sit still at school.
Yeah,
bro. It's a lot.
I can't imagine trying to watch the Jackson 5 movie or the Temptations, right? like
But you're skipping through the first 45 minutes of the Jackson. I skip straight. I skip straight to the whoopings.
chop it up in episodes for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yo, get to the whoopings, dog. Get to the whoopings, Joe.
All right, man. Like taking it away from wrestling for a second. I have been like keeping up with your content. I think for like maybe 10 years back before you like started the KevOnStage YouTube channel. Back when you were doing like skits in like I think it was a church that y'all were doing like skits in.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know like who did you ask for permission to do that? Because like. Because like I'm like I already know like my father is a pastor, like my grandfather's a pastor. Some people are like, okay, well that's cool, you know, you're doing your thing, young blood. And other people are like, don't you put me on that Facebook? No, I don't want to be on that Facebook. So like, so how did you ask these questions?
Luckily, I didn't have to ask because I was a youth pastor and my boy, it was his dad's church. So they were like, I mean, no, it wasn't even an ask. We could use the church. We was leaders at the church. We could, you know, we had rehearsals and stuff. So we had keys to the church. We had the alarm code and they never tripped. They thought it was funny. They loved the videos. Like, luckily for us, we had pastors who were young enough and fun enough that wasn't, it wasn't sacrilegious for them. So it was never even a thing. I remember seeing in the comments sometimes like they look at the pastor didn't do nothing. Like, y'all don't know. I'm the youth pastor, so I can't get in trouble because I'm the youth pastor. So if you think that's gonna get me in trouble, you are sadly mistaken.
Like, and like when you guys were coming up with these sketches, like who was the one that was like pitching out these ideas and like kind of recognized like, oh yeah, there's an audience for this because like. That's sort of a niche kind of thing. Like you see like a couple people like Ricky Smiley and Tyler Perry, but like that was like it. I think like Steve Harvey does like some comedy like here and there, but it's kind of a niche sort of thing. Like how did you guys like recognize like, okay, well, there's an audience for this?
So luckily, I was the one who was the most chronically online at the time. And I remember like stuff girls say was going viral. And I remember seeing like, it was like stuff girls say, stuff college girls say, maybe stuff these girls say. And then it was like, remember Billy Sorrells did stuff black girls say. And when that went crazy, I was like, hold on, what if we did? Because we did in the same night, stuff black parents say and stuff black church girls say. And what happened was stuff black church girls say went crazier than stuff black parents say. And I think it's to your point, there was a niche audience and it was like, there was nobody doing that type of content at that time who wasn't corny. Like you could tell we weren't corny and we knew like a lot of times people make church content. You could tell they don't really go to church. So it's always like the pastor's stealing the money. This is, you know, it's like the same stuff. And you could tell our stuff was like, oh no, these people go to church. These are inside base. Some of the jokes you only got if you went to church and we didn't even explain them to you. And when we saw that video did better than the black parents say, and the black parents say did crazy as well, we thought, okay, so here's how we separate ourselves from everybody else on YouTube, because everybody's making YouTube videos at this time. It's like, how do you separate yourself? And we were like, I think we focus on black church stuff, you know, it'll work. So I just took the formula from other YouTube videos, like stuff black guys say became stuff church guys say. How to get a guy or how to get a girl became how to get a church girl. 6 types of gym bros became 7 types of black preachers. You know what I'm saying? So we just went down that path. And because nobody else was doing it online at the time, I think we really separated ourselves from everybody else.
Put a cool twist on it. Yeah, that's pretty dope.
It was like I think my sister showed me like y'all's videos like at first, and like when she showed it to me, I was like kind of hesitant, like what you said, like sometimes the stuff is corny and you're looking at it, you're like, oh my God, like this isn't anything like it really is. And you're kind of like rolling your eyes. And then like after like the second video, I was like, these guys know what they're talking about. I was like, I get these jokes. My other question I wanted to ask you was, when did you like, well, I don't know how to phrase, when did you decide like you were going to bet on yourself, like as like a YouTuber or like a social media, like influencer and like an all like comedian and all that? When did you decide like, okay, well, I can turn this into a career and make this profitable for myself. And like, I'm going to bet on me. Like, when did you have that like epiphany, so to speak?
I think betting on yourself, and this might sound like I'm trying to sell you a motivational book, but this is my honest answer. I think every step is betting on yourself, right? I think starting a YouTube page when it's a sea of creators, or if YouTube is just starting, is betting on yourself. I don't think for me at first, my goal wasn't, I want to make a career off of this. My first goal was like, I just want to do well enough that we can make YouTube partner and we can make some money, right? Like, it didn't have to be enough to replace our jobs. It was just like, at that time, we had a credit card bill, the three of us, that was like $10,000 because of stupid mistakes that we made trying to pop in the play world. That's where the term playmakers came from. We were trying to be like Tyler Perry, David E. Talbert, and Jacarius Johnson. And we just like, it was so dumb. We was like, Jacarius Johnson was having an event in Miami, and we was like, we're going to go meet him. We bought 3 plane tickets, a hotel. The plates were like $500 a plate. And then we met him. He was like, what's up, guys? Shook his hand. He kept walking. And we're like, all right, we didn't really think past this part. We did everything and met him. And now we got like $6,000 on a credit card bill and a trip to Miami. So our first goal was just to pay that down and then pay that off. And I think as I just kept going on, I saw more and more people making a career off of YouTube, but I didn't see hardly any that were married with kids, like unless they had a family channel. Because I was following like Issa Rae, Dormtainment, Tim Chantarangsu, people like that. Like they were either single or roommates. So it didn't seem really feasible to make a living doing YouTube. And it was like, I think 2013 or 2012, late 2012, early 2013. No, it's 2012. My son made a YouTube video, went viral, and he got cast in the Little Rascals movie as a result. And then we came down to LA to shoot, and him and my younger son were on a show on a channel called Awesomeness TV, and they were making YouTube videos weekly and getting paid for it. And once I came down to LA for 3 months to, basically be his manager while he shot this movie, that's when I was like, okay, I got to move to LA and figure out how to make it. Like once I saw, and I'll give you the exact moment, and it's so funny that it's burning my mind. The first moment I realized I have to move to LA. We were on set one day, and it's such a weird thing that triggered me, but still interesting. We were on set one day, and they call when the camera's like shooting this way on movies that size, they usually shoot with one camera. And if they do shoot with 2 cameras, they shoot both of them facing one direction. And then when they turn around to get the other character, it's called flipping the world. And that takes like 30, 45 minutes to flip the world. So they're like, hey, cut, we're flipping the world. They start moving the cameras around, moving the lights around to shoot this direction. And the sound man put his boom pole in his little cubby and sat down on his stool and started playing a game on his phone, texting his wife. And I'm like, dang, this is his job. Like, he's just at work on Tuesday. Like, his job is to record sound for movies. And that visual of like, you always think it's the actor, the director. And this dude was just like, I'm just at work today. This is what I do. Oh, we're flipping the world. I got a little 30-minute break. Cool. Let me get some snacks and chill. And I was like, dang, this job is no different than anybody else's job. And I might not be able to be the director of the movie or the star of it, but at least if I could work in the movies, even making the same amount of money I make at Boeing, then I'll be happy. And I think that's when I was like, I'm going to bet on myself in the sense of like, let's move to LA and figure it out. But I think it was a lot of small bets. And then the move to LA was like a huge bet. And luckily for us, it paid off.
Amazing. It did. Amazingly, it really did. It's like now, like through all of that, like that you've done, all the different platforms and all the different skits and like different content that you've created, like you've now got your own streaming platform, KevOnStage Studios, you're on tour right now. Like, how's tour right now going for you? Like, touring, I know that's got to be nuts, right?
It's great. It is exhausting though. Literally, I just put out a survey to my audience about because I want to do Here's the Thing, our podcast tour next year. Yeah. So I was doing research for it because I want to do it in theaters. Like the club route is great, but it's three nights of shows instead of like one night. So that's a little bit more grueling to be stuck for 3 nights. Now, at the same time, doing a show Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in 3 different cities is even more grueling than that, right? Because that's how we did our first 2 tours. Because at least with stand-up comedy shows, like after your Thursday night show, you're hanging out all day Friday if you want to. And after the Friday night shows, you're hanging out all day Saturday. When you go city to city, you wake up and you either drive or fly to the next city. So there's less downtime, but there's less time spent on the road. So the short answer is it's grueling. It's like a wrestler. I imagine like their schedule is stupid. No off season. No, I mean, I guess they get weeks off or maybe nights off. But for the most part, they be on the road 40, 50 weeks a year, which is just crazy. So it's the part of the job that's tough. But until AI dominates and we all watch stuff from home, this is what we got to do.
Okay, so as we're closing here, I do want to ask you, since you did mention that this whole thing is going on with the writers and the actors strike and all of that stuff, like, what's your take on that? Because like I was trying to get like a couple of interviews here, and like there was some communication going, and like as soon as like that strike hit last week, I got an email back from this interview that I was really trying to put together, and it was like, look, it ain't happening. So like, well, what's your take on all of that that's going on right now? And how does that affect you, if any?
So interestingly enough, we just talked about this in my podcast. As an actor so I'm not a WGA writer. So the writer strike didn't affect me as much. Obviously, I stand in solidarity with the writers. You know what I'm saying? We all on the same team as far as versus studios. But like the work I do wasn't really well, actually, let me back up. Have some TV shows in development that are basically indefinitely on hold until the strike is over. So we went into development, like signed the paperwork. Everything was going great. The strike happened and then they're like, done. Like we can't contact any writers, showrunners, nothing, everything stopped there. And as an actor, I don't really work tremendously as an actor. So there's not a lot of like jobs that I lost. But as an influencer, I work promoting movies all the time. And it's a pretty lucrative business. And I ain't gonna hold y'all fellas. I did not know I knew I was gonna stand in solidarity, but I didn't know I was gonna stand that much in solidarity. Cause it hit my pockets. Cause I was like, I don't really be acting that much. So I'll go down and pick it and stuff with the people. But once I realized that I couldn't promote movies, I can't enter into any new contracts. I have some contracts with TV and film that were already signed before that they say if you already had it signed and agreed, then go ahead and finish that work out. Don't take any new work out or new work on. But I lost a brand deal the day the strike happened. I got invited to a big studio premiere. And then the guidelines came out, and I told my wife, I was like, dang, I don't think I can do this. Like, I don't think I can go to it. So, but obviously it's better to strike now and lose this money or potential new income than to not strike and get played for however long. Because obviously I want to be an actor, and, like YouTube, like you want to be able to make a career out of it. And the strike has proven that the companies are making it harder and harder to make a living doing acting. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's enough money to be shared, and I think it should be shared more equitably than it has been, and where they're trying to go, especially with streaming. Streaming changed the game as far as sharing the money goes. And I don't see it going back to the old network model, right? Like, can you imagine, like, not even imagine, like, the difference in between the way my children consume media and the way I do is totally different. Mm-hmm. They have no concept of like, if the show comes on right now, if I miss it, it's gone forever. I have to hope for reruns. Like,
I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah, I mean, like my son watches SmackDown. He's like, if I miss SmackDown, I can stream it later on Peacock. I can watch the clips on YouTube, like, or I'm watching clips on TikTok. Like, if anything big happens, they know they haven't missed anything. But that wasn't the case for us. Like, once it went off, it was off.
It was over.
If you missed it, you missed it.
I remember multiple nights of setting up the VCR. I'm like, I'm gonna record this, and when I get back home, and then come to find out like the VCR messed up, and you just have a blank tape right there. You're like, I guess I won't see that episode ever again.
Yeah, you don't know if you'll ever see it in your life. And that's just not, and I think the money should reflect how the world consumes content, as opposed to like just keeping on going by rules from a world that no longer exists.
Man, I think we need to call Ray J. Fixes everything.
Get Ray J on the horn.
Yo, scooty bike on up here, Ray J. You flip your glasses perpendicular so you can save these writers. Because I cannot do another season of the challenge. Like, there's enough challenges on MTV right now. Yeah, I don't. I mean, Sammy's back on Jersey Shore. You know what I'm saying? Them niggas ain't going nowhere. So, right. Like, man, we just all need to be together.
Yeah, I feel you. Okay, well, shoot, man. Any other questions, guys? Like, we can. I think that, geez, man, like that the piece about the gentleman and flipping the world and just like his just going back to his own world, that's gonna sit with me for a while. So,
no.
This is what I do want to say to you. You did a TikTok about Filet-O-Fish sandwiches, sir. And I had never had a Filet-O-Fish sandwich in my life. My father eats Filet-O-Fish sandwiches religiously. It's the only thing he ever ate growing up when we went to McDonald's. And because you made that TikTok about Filet-O-Fish, I went to McDonald's and I said, I'm going to try this sandwich. And I said, let me go ahead and get this. And she asked me, do you want a full slice of cheese or a half slice? And I said, I almost got offended because I'm like, why would you give me half a slice? I didn't. So we got the full slice of cheese, right? And check me out. It wasn't bad.
I'm telling you, I was just talking about this on a podcast earlier today. That week or that day, I made a video that I was like really worked hard on. Mm-hmm. It did absolutely nothing. And then I made that Filet-O-Fish sandwich video while I was waiting for my son to finish track practice, and it went stupid crazy. And I was so mad because I was like, I did all this work, and niggas is like, man, that Filet-O-Fish video crazy. You went here and said you watched that Filet-O-Fish. I did, man. And I was like, that's the whole problem. The algorithm was like, man, don't show him this. Show him that sandwich that his daddy used to eat. That'll get him going.
That's what happened, man. So I appreciate you. Brought me full circle. I called my father. We had a great conversation. We laughed. We cried. We didn't cry, but it was a good laugh.
We come too far as people. We cried over sandwiches from McDonald's.
Like I remember that you hit the group chat. You were like, "Yeah, I just tried. Like I just got a Filet-O-Fish." I didn't know it was the first one you ever had. Cause like you sent that video in there, and I got kind of offended because I was like, I grew up on Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. I got kind of offended at first. I was like. Then I thought about it. I was like, well, I guess that's a fair score. I'm like, it's not like the best thing in the world, but like, it's crazy. Like what videos you expect. Like, okay, you're like, man, it's gonna go viral. Yeah. And like, as like from like someone like who like make tweets and stuff like that, I'll put out something and I'll like write it up and I'll just like checking like the like spell correct and everything like that and making sure like the wording is right. And it doesn't do anything. And then when I just tweet something random, it's like, yo, like 30K on the likes, and I'm like, all right, man, something gotta be done about this.
It's Elon, man. It's Elon.
Elon, man. I'm telling you,
mixing it all up, man. Trying to get everybody to pay that $8, man. Listen, Kev, we appreciate you. If y'all like this episode, make sure y'all like and subscribe. But also, please stay tapped in, stay tuned in, stay dangerous to everything Kev got going on. He's on tour right now, as I said, this weekend in Louisville. Did I say that right? Louisville. You feel me? In Louisville this weekend. And of course, Ball Brothers World Tour going across them waters. You know what I'm saying? You and Tony Baker. That's love, man. Congratulations. I hope you enjoy it, man. We appreciate you for making time for us. We appreciate you for continuing to put out dope content and inspiring so many. Make sure y'all go get that book, Marriage Be Hard. And hey, Kev, we appreciate you, man. Please.
Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it, man. I'll catch up with y'all next time.
Love, man. Thanks for tapping in, bro.
All right.
And like that, we go.